All right, I call the regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7 p.m. Thank you for coming, and for those that will be watching the recording of this meeting on YouTube, all board members are present, and a quorum has been met to meet tonight. So at this time, I invite those willing and able to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to move on to student board member comments. Ms. Heike is not here, so we will move on to the area of communications and engagement. This is our first public comment period. Trustee Sislo has agreed to serve as tonight's timekeeper. Be advised that this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purposes of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items may be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as a future agenda item for board's consideration. Are there any students that would like to address the board? Are there any members of the public that would like to address the board? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting held on April 8th.
Motion by Pryor. Support by Heike.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Pryor with support from Ms. Heike. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll proceed with the vote. Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Farah?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Heike?
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we will hear from Todd Federer and members of the FFA program with an update. Welcome. Just make sure that the microphone is on. Yep. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Todd Federer, current agricultural science teacher and the advisor for the Milan FFA. Been teaching for 18 years and the ag science teacher for 4. Couple things. First, want to tell you it's a student-led, so that means I'm not going to have to talk that long, so I'm going to turn it over to them real quick. But a couple things about the FFA. There is 3 kind of pillars of the FFA, and that is SAE, which stands for Supervised Agricultural Experience, so getting their hands dirty, classroom instruction, which they do daily, and then leadership, which involves public speaking, interviewing, different competitions, things like that. So a lot of people, a lot of negative connotations around FFA is that it's all about, and this I told them, it's not my quote, but cows, sows, and plows. But as you're going to see in this presentation, there's a lot more than just that. So I'll turn it over to them.
Alrighty. My name is Jonathan Ringbloom. I've been enrolled with the FFA for 4 years now, since my freshman year, and I'm serving as the vice president currently.
And I'm Ethan Rice, been enrolled for 2 years, and I am actively treasurer, soon to be president of our FFA chapter.
Alrighty, so first thing that we want to talk about is the homecoming parade. Now every parade that Milan has, the FFA typically builds a float. So all of the members get together at a designated area where we will all work on a float before we go, whether it's the Christmas parade, the homecoming, and
You're the one with the side clicker. So next up is the Milan Fall Bash. So this is throughout our whole district of FFA. There's 25 people in our district, about 8 or 9 show up to this, where we have a fun day with our FFA chapter. We do Ag Olympics going up against all the other schools. We have things like the petting area that's there, along with a provided lunch by our area. So,
Alrighty, so one of the favorite things in our community is always the hog roast. So every year during football season, we buy pigs and we make a giant feast, which we have members sell to the community and families and friends so that we can raise money for the FFA to do all these fun events that we will show later on in this presentation.
And this year we are raising 10, and 2 of which will be for next year's hog roast.
so next up is our national convention. This is obviously national. Every FFA chapter is invited to this. It's usually down in Indianapolis, in Indiana. So our chapter usually takes 12 to 13 people, depending on the year, down to this event. This is another one of those leadership opportunities where interviews are held and allows us to really show out. And it's also a very fun experience. You usually go on a couple tours, like you see on the slideshow. We went to Pig Farm there. We also that year went duck pin bowling as well, which is a staple that Federer likes to take us to, and we go up against all the some schools in our area up there or down there to just see who's better at duck pin bowling.
Alrighty, so discussion meet. This is held by the Farm Bureau, in which we discuss problems or issues with agriculture. It's not a debate, so we have talks with about 10 other people in a circle with a panel of judges in front of us, and we can move on later in rounds, and this can go all the way up to the state level.
So reading at Simon's is our next thing. We pick out books. We invite our FFA members to bring their own personal books, but we can also borrow books out of the Simon's library. We then go read that book to the kids, tell them about ourselves, tell them what we're doing there at our FFA, and answer some questions as well, which they ask a lot of weird questions, but we make it through it usually. So.
Alrighty, so this is another one of the parades that we do. So we typically use agriculture in every single thing that we do. Even for the Christmas parades, we dress it up, and I believe we put like a Christmas hat, a Santa hat on the pig that we had this year, and we had some Christmas chickens, and we decorate for what it typically is for the holidays.
So next up is our leadership contest. These happen every year. Again, this one is similar to the discussion meet, as areas around us come together, different schools, to compete against each other. And what I do is extemporaneous speaking. So you're given a topic to then write a speech in 30 minutes. Then you have to give a 5.5-minute speech after that. And you can pick like a subcategory, but you never really know what the questions are. But there's many other things, such as prepared public speaking. You can do a demonstration. There's job interview. There's also ag issues, which you pick an issue, or it's picked for you, and you then go discuss some possible solutions for that.
As well as parliamentary procedure, as you guys are all aware.
Alrighty, so one thing that our staff members like is the staff breakfast. Every year we do a staff breakfast, and personally I like this because I get to see all the happy teachers eating all their food that we cooked for them. So it definitely gives a good rep for our FFA. So basically we get here way early than all the teachers, and we spent like an hour or two preparing all the food.
And you can smell it from the parking lot.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So next up is state convention, very similar to national convention. It's a spot for us to meet and do our higher level competitions before and to narrow them down and see what people we send from states up to nationals competition wise. We usually don't do as many tours there since it's a shorter trip. There are a lot of demonstrations that the state officers hold for everyone around to put on a good look for the FFA and to be inspirational for us. So it's very useful to go to.
And this is where all our members earn awards as well. They earn their state degree for doing a lot. So Johnny earned a state degree this year for community service, leadership, and the three pillars as I talked about earlier. But they will earn academic excellence, outstanding juniors, and things like that. So they work their way up to a state degree, which getting a state degree through a year will get you 6 credit hours to Michigan State for free. So that is a bonus there.
Alrighty. So another one of the contests that we have are the skills contests, which we just recently had. So for all of this stuff, that you can have agricultural mechanics where you have to work on like an engine or tractor parts. You have the forestry, which you go out in a forest and you look at all the tree types, learn how to measure a tree. What are the other ones? Oh,
Vet science.
yep, vet science. The flowers, you get to make flowers and learn all the flower types. You've got the ones where you have to make a product, make an agricultural product, and learn how to sell it, so ag sales. And then
One of the favorites that I've seen, I haven't done it, but a lot of people like the dairy because they get to just sit there and taste cheese and milk. And they're always saying it's the best thing, but
some of the cheese was iffy, but yeah.
So some of our classroom activities that we have also done, one being the broiler contest. So we raise our chickens, and we used to raise them in the greenhouse, but once we now have our real barn that we're able to be out there and raise them in. So we grow the chickens. We usually divide into groups in the classroom, and we have a little sub-competition throughout the classroom to see who can raise the best chickens. They get to choose feed types, how much they feed them, and things like that. And then at the end of the growing process, we go up against other schools on how well we were able to raise our chickens. And we go to a meat packer, and where we see our muscle, and we up in Fowlerville, and we see them get packed and how to process chickens at the end of the day.
Alrighty, so one of the things that a lot of the students and teachers love are the rabbit raising. So this goes back into our zoology class along with our chickens, where we learn how to take care and raise a rabbit. So the rabbits we've had give birth, so that way we could have multiple, so that all the classes could see them. And everybody loves to come down and look at them, especially the teachers. And they're just so fluffy, as you can see there.
This is a competition as well, just like the broiler contest, where you can take them up to Munsell's and get judged on the meat quality and how big your buck or doe is.
So next up is the sausage making. Pretty much in class, we have our, I believe, venison and beef, which we then teach all the students how to pack into tubes, and at the end of the day, some teachers and students get to take some home.
So for the botany corn yields, we go out to the field right behind the barn area, and we check out all the corn that has been grown. And I think this could be one thing that our drone could be used, which we've recently got, in which that drone can show what the corn looks like, what it needs to be better. That way we can communicate with the farmers on what needs to be happening to be better.
Yep, and I'll add on to that. So we spent a couple days in class learning about how to count kernels and how to plot out so we can then scale up, because we obviously can't count all the kernels an acre. But we learned planting types, like how far away the corn is planted to be able to make better estimates. And then on the third day, we actually went out into the field, plucked a couple kernels off, or a couple ears off the corn, took them inside, counted them up, and we all made our predictions on what we think the yield was. And then at the end of the year, when the corn got harvested, we got rated on how well we estimated the kernel count, which was a pretty fun competition in the classroom. So next up is the drone. We got this from a state of Michigan grant a year and a half back. So it's able to surveil the field, see how it's doing, along with spraying the field and spreading seed, but we haven't done much of that. Usually just the spraying, along with teaching the students how it works and also how to fly it under close supervision of Federer.
So they are currently showing at Project Red at Washtenaw Farm Council grounds these last 3 days counting tomorrow. They are doing Washtenaw, the third graders, and showing them all about the drone.
We also show this at Ag Day, so all of the younger students at Milan, when they come up for Ag Day, everybody loves the drone because it's so cool to see how big it is. So, alrighty, so the greenhouse plant growing is another thing how our FFA raises money. So we all raise, I'm sure we've all seen that greenhouse. Yeah. So we grow our plants out there, different flower types. We also grow little crops like peppers, tomatoes, sometimes strawberries.
So we have bought all of our plants out of trays in the past. Then we go through our class and then plant them all into pots. But this year we have also been able, with our new germinator, to also germinate some of our seeds and plant them from that. We have also done in-class stuff on how these plants grow and the best way to take care of them. So,
We also put a plug in that we're open.
May 1st, Mother's Day, Mother's Day weekend, open to teachers and staff on Friday. So invasive species, this right here is at, I believe, Crosswinds Marsh.
No, right out front.
Oh, right out front. I thought we went to, anyway. But we learn about invasive species, how they impact plants and crops around, and then we also go out and try and cut down, usually by reducing seed pods and trying to limit.
Control it.
Yeah. It's very hard to get rid of them. That's why they're invasive. So.
Alrighty, so in the natural resources maple syrup, we go around town tapping maple trees with homeowners' permission, and we give them a little cut at the end. So what we do is we find maple trees after we research them. Sugar maples typically produce the best ones. So after we go tap, we learn how to correctly put in the tubes and use the buckets, and then we go around town picking up these buckets, and at the end, when it's getting warmer out, it'll stop running, so then we boil it down out front, as you see right in that one right there, where we teach people how it's actually made. And last year, I believe we had somebody come in who makes maple syrup, and they taught us all about that in their business. So
Yeah, we had Andrew Knitz, a fellow Milan grad,
So next up is our natural resources green beans. We do some in-class work learning the best way to grow them. Then we go out there. This is also in our greenhouse, and on the side we have all our green bean planters filled with different types of soils to see how that impacts the growth of these plants. And then we'll come harvest them, and then we can them in class as well to teach that skill. So.
alright, so tie blankets. Tie blankets is something that we give back to hospitals and animal shelters, which is one thing that I really appreciate that the FFA does. So in class, we learn how to crochet or make tie blankets. So we spend about a week or two making these by ourselves, learning how to correctly make blankets, and then which we donate.
So getting the barn ready was a really hard process. we had the frame built for us, but after that, we were really stuck to do that ourselves. So we've gotten members and alum and us students to go out. Our ag mechanics class has been helping with that a lot. As you can see in the top right to you guys, it's the same. It's like we're looking at the same photo. Is us building the our loft for the barn to be able to take all the storage out of the high school and actually be able to put it somewhere where it belongs. You can also, we've gotten a lot of tools through grants to be able to put in our barn and hopefully spark our ag mechanics class soon.
It's not quite fully functional, but it will be hopefully by next year.
Alrighty.
That seems to be it.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I have one. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will.
Yeah, put us on the spot.
The state degree you talked about. Can you explain how it extends up to university students? Because I know we had 2 this year that earned. I think that's connected to the state degree, right?
We have 8 get state degrees this year.
But the 2 at Michigan State.
Yeah.
Because they continue.
So they got their state degree. They went on to Michigan State. They're both going for teaching ag as well. They got 6 credit hours there. They got their American degree, which was pursuing for another 2 years after high school.
Yeah, and I think that shows the impact that extends beyond high school. That they're coming back and it takes some references from us, but it was really cool to see that they're still connected and
Yep.
working on it.
And they're both part of our alumni chapter as well. Back around alumni board.
Any questions?
Can I, oh, go ahead, do you want to go?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say awesome presentation. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. It's a spectacular all that you do. Also want to thank Mr. Federer. I know taking over for Mr. Stahl was big shoes to fill, so we definitely appreciate how you've kept it going. And one of the things that not a lot of people know, but we like to talk about, is that Milan FFA is the longest continuous running FFA chapter in the state of Michigan. So that's a very proud point of honor that we should continue to maintain, and we appreciate your leadership in doing that. So thank you for sharing.
It's hard enough running one chapter. Stahl did 2, so
Yeah, very well done. And yeah, thank you for coming and nice meeting you all.
Oh, I just wanted to say, great job, both of you. There are some adults who come here and cannot be as clear and concise as you both were, so great job. I also wanted to say, I've had the pleasure of eating 2 of the chickens. There was a competition in our household. Megan the hen stallion, I only got that all wrong, did not win. But I just think that the real hands-on experience that you give these kids is just unbelievable. I mean, nowhere in any of my imagination would my children have raised chickens. And then when my daughter wanted to go watch the packing, I was a little nervous that she wouldn't eat chicken anymore, but she still does. And it's just incredible. And I was actually talking to a colleague the other day who grew up in New York, and she'd never heard of FFA. They just don't have it. And when I told her all the things that you guys do, she was blown away that this is an opportunity that kids get in high school. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you, both of you, for your great presentation.
President Farrell. I don't have a question. I do have a comment though, kind of similar to what Michelle said. But so my son was a senior last year, and he took the botany class. And my son is not exactly what you would consider a kind of get your hands dirty type of kid. I think there was a picture on Facebook in which he has like soil in his hand, and he has not a great look on his face, as a matter of fact. But when it was all said and done, he went through the class, learned a bunch of things that he would not have otherwise learned, and also got to work in the greenhouse, which he really, really enjoyed. So I just want to thank all of you, and I really appreciate your willingness and your welcomeness to work with all students, regardless of their level of involvement in the FFA. So thank you.
Ms. Murray.
Yeah, I'll jump in super quick. I don't want to repeat anything that's already been said, but I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Federer, because it's evident to me from your students' presentation that you're not just teaching, you are facilitating learning. They got up here and led this entire thing and are clearly incredibly knowledgeable about all of the things that happen in FFA. And I just want to note too, I want to thank you actually for sharing how broad the program is, because it hopefully is clear to all that it is, touching on the scientific process, it's technology, it's marketing, it's public speaking, it's, competition, and for me, the big highlight is the community involvement. I think education is at its best when it is bringing the community to the table, literally in your case sometimes, right? But I love that you're involving our downtown residents, and thank you for sharing on social media, because I saw the buckets I think I commented on that post actually. I've been seeing the buckets for weeks, so I was like, who's doing the maple syrup around here? Come to find out it's you. So thank you for being a facilitator of learning for our students and letting them take leadership in all of the ways that you are allowing them to do that. And congratulations to both of you on your graduation, your award, your president-elect, and all of your success. Thank you.
Dr. Gutierrez.
Thank you, gentlemen, for a really nice presentation. I agree with Mrs. Heika that that was fantastic. Jonathan, Ethan, it takes a lot of courage to come stand up in front of a board, a lot of adults, to give a talk, and you really went through it. And I was taking a ton of notes. I realized that I've been familiar with a lot of these activities and didn't even know that they were FFA backed. I welcome my Mother's Day gift every year of hanging baskets on my front porch, and so I agree with the comments that have been made already, and I won't repeat those. But what really hung in for me is that I didn't grow up in a community with farming. I grew up in the very northern part of Michigan, but we had an organization in high school called BPA, or Business Professionals of America. And I'm not a business professional by any means, but I remember being involved in that organization so that I could learn skills that I was going to need as an adult. That included public speaking, extemporaneous speaking, interviewing, and to hear that that's part of the core leadership values of this organization. You can apply and learn those skills and apply them to different contexts, whether it be botany or animals or invasive species or whatnot. But I really appreciate that this is a program that no matter what our students will go on and do in their lives, they're going to learn skill building that will benefit them as they go into wherever they end up. And so thank you, Mr. Federer, for your mentorship of these students, and great job, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ms. Pryor.
I actually have a couple questions. So my youth didn't go through the FFA, so I'm wondering, do you have to be enrolled in a class to participate, or is it an extracurricular?
It's definitely encouraged to be in one of the classes, but if there is some strenuous circumstance, we would definitely accept membership.
So I don't typically allow freshmen as members. They have to take a class to be that. But then if they're actively involved, I have a few students this year that are actively involved, that one holds a position, a couple others do not, but they're always coming down, always asking what they can do, or on all the different field trips, community service projects. So yes, you can. I don't typically do it as a freshman, but higher levels.
Okay, I was just wondering, I also heard you say state officers. Is this something that you have the opportunity to be elected as a state-style official for this?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I was elected for president here at Milan. I am also running actively for office in our region. And then there's 6 regions in Michigan that then, even if you're not a regional officer, you can still run for state. You have to fill out all these forms, make papers, go through an interview process. But it's definitely easier when you're a regional officer. So I plan on trying for regionals and trying for states with a bunch of interviews and papers.
This weekend we have a regional camp where we're going to see if he gets slated. So he had to go through an interview process there. So we'll see if he gets slated and voted on this weekend.
That's good luck. Yeah, excellent skills as well. Thank you for answering my questions. I think your program is amazing as well. I love following you on social media. I grew up in a place that didn't have this, but I grew up in the country, so a lot of these skills I'm kind of familiar with, and I think it's great that you're passing that on and teaching others.
Well, thank you guys for coming. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, guys.
Very nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting you as well.
All right, we're going to move on with the agenda. We will now have a brief discussion as it relates to board policy number 3205. Ms. Pryor or Mr. McMahon?
Yeah, I'm just going to pass out the copy of the current policy. So this policy was part of the review that the board did since the last meeting, and it was brought to our attention that they had some questions about this, and I'm glad it was, because we had some questions as well. The disbursements piece is specifically addressing it's petty cash. And by the definition of petty cash, we actually don't have any. So the policy creates an opportunity for the buildings to have essentially cash to make quick purchases if they need it. We just don't do that. The only cash we ever have on hand is for our cash boxes. So athletics, theater, FFA for the greenhouse. But what they do there is they write a check to their account, get the cash out, make change, and then make a deposit. So it's not really petty cash. We don't make any purchases with cash. We have P cards, we have a budgeting process to do that through purchase orders. So I wouldn't recommend getting rid of the policy. It's there if we ever want to do it. But I do have some changes that I would suggest, and so I'll mention those today. We can talk about them, and then I can put those into place for the next meeting to vote. So under number 2, the petty cash fund custodians, it appoints our administrative assistants that do the books in each building, and that's fine, but our principals have final approval on any expenses, so we think it's best just to make the principals there, the petty cash managers. So I would change financial administrative assistant to the principal in the building. If you slide down to number 4, there's a purchase review procedures, and it says that me or a designee will review petty cash fund expenditures with the treasurer at least monthly. That's the treasurer of the board. Since we don't use petty cash for expenditures, I don't think we need to have that. I would suggest, if you would like, I could create some language that says something along the lines of as needed or whenever utilized. There'd be within a month of utilization, we'd have a meeting to report that. If that's okay with you guys, and we can discuss. And that's the only changes. The back page shows what specific items you can't pay for, and then items that you can pay for, and then other awards, so it's open a little bit, but it's pretty limited what you can use the money for anyways.
Any questions for Mr. McMahon?
I don't have any questions. It also says the board may authorize, so it doesn't say that the board authorizes, so it's clear that it's a possibility. It's not, so it's obvious that since we don't have one, so it's a may. So what you're proposing, we would, those would each be the principal, and we don't need the brackets.
Correct.
Okay, cool, I just wanted to make sure. And then was there any thoughts on the amount?
No, I mean,
Okay,
the amount's fine.
yeah, because it's a not to exceed amount, so.
Yeah, I would
Yep.
reduce it, but.
Yep.
We, for like a homecoming game or something, we might have a little more cash on hand to make change, but we don't consider that petty cash.
Right, because it's just okay. So for all accounts and purposes, this is a good policy to have, but we're not doing it.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question. So as far as the part 2 is concerned, I feel like in past policy reviews, I've seen specific names go on certain policies. When you do bring this back to us, are you just going to have the position of principal on each line, or are you going to have the actual names of the current people?
Yeah,
and then
just-
we'd have to update it later.
Just the position. Yeah. We get call at times when names are in there. There's some places they have to have names, and we have to update those when someone else fills the position. In this case, I would just make it the principal.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pryor?
Mr. McMahon, if you're going to do it, I just need to remind you, since we are changing it from the Troon policy, that footer needs to be removed to reflect that it's not a Troon authorized and written policy.
Okay.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Or Mr. Sarah? That's okay. I guess I would like to know if we, after discussion, decide to make some of these proposed changes, would that then be run past our council with Troon just for language purposes and to make sure we're within bounds, or?
I could.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically, our adjustments to this point have been minor, so I don't know if this needs to be, but I could.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wanting to understand the full process if we make an amendment. I know we've done it for other policies, and we have consulted with council for those because they've been
Yeah, the
trickier.
bigger ones, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Gutierrez?
I think my question is really for Mrs. Pryor about this not being Troon sanctioned then. It seems to me that if the only change that we're making is to change the custodian from the financial administrative assistant to principal, that would still be sanctioned by Troon because it's in brackets and it's to our decision of who to appoint to that role. Is that not correct?
That part would be correct, but if the removal of number 4 is occurring,
Okay.
so that would change it from the true rote policy. What they said is any change made to a significant structure of what they wrote would not be something that they just said it becomes ours and then it wouldn't be
I
their
see.
policy.
It seems to me that we don't actually need to remove number 4 though, because if we were to have any petty cash fund expenditures, which it sounds like we do not, but if we were to have some, we would want those to be reviewed by our treasurer on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yes.
My suggestion is to add language like as needed or if utilized.
Okay.
'Cause it
So we're
almost-
not removing it, right? We're just
Correct.
altering it so it's not a requirement.
Yeah, because
that
it
we
almost says
meet
it's required
monthly.
now, but we don't
Okay.
have anything to report, so just
Okay.
add some language in there.
That was my confusion. I thought we were removing it, but if we're adding just as needed, it should be fine.
Yeah,
think
that was
so.
my
So, I
thought.
mean, yeah.
Any other questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, so what we will do is we will, would ask you to make those updates and then we will put that on the agenda to vote on for the next meeting. Okay? All right, next up on the agenda is a sinking fund update from Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. I'm passing down for the update, the last update. The last time I provided an update was at the November 12th meeting. There hasn't been a lot of significant changes, but there's been some. If you look at the spreadsheet on the far left column in the blue code, those are items you've already seen in the November 12th meeting, and then the kind of yellowish column, the 10 or so there, is the new items from today. So I'll just walk through them. The ventilation work at the high school gym, that was actually on the update, but the work's been completed and we had the invoice, so it was just under $3,100. So I just added that amount to it. The lighting fixtures at the middle school gym, we had to replace some LEDs. That work's been completed. It was just under $8,000. Cement work, that's at the high school. We have a lot of issues at the high school with the sidewalks. We're calling them pedestrian walkways. Some just from aging, some from cars, our snow plows for sure. They just need to be upgraded, and it's pretty bad. I mean, they're in bad shape. So we're currently drafting an RFP to put it out for bid, and the plan is to post that bid next Friday. It would be a 2-week, maybe a little bit longer bid process, but we'll collect bids on that and get that work moving forward. I did get permission from Troon, or approval from Troon, to have that as a sinking fund purchase, which I didn't think it would be, but they said, yeah, because we're actually taking out and replacing concrete. It's not just putting patchwork in. I expect that to be 50 to 75,000. We don't have any quotes yet, but we'll see. The next item is water main break. I should have clarified a little bit. It didn't break. It's just not in great shape. The city is, we've made some repairs to it over the years, and the city said it's in tough shape. We should really address it. A portion of that water main runs under the high school, like the science wing, if you think, by the bus loop. If it were to break under the building, that could create some issues, so it needs to be replaced. We did get some contractors out to go through it with us to explain some options. One was either just dig a new one and put it through the parking lot and not go under the building, just cap the old one off. Another is they can actually, it's almost like putting a balloon through it. It's like a plastic liner, and they blow it up, and we thought that would be the cheaper option. Both are approved by Troon for sinking funds, but it turns out the cost is about the same. So we figured it'd be best just to lay a new line. So we actually have an RFP out right now. It got posted Monday, Tuesday, to the Sigma, the state bidding site, and we just put it on our own website. If a contractor called, I would say go to the Sigma site. That's where you should go. But it's also on our website. It'll be open until May 8th, I think. It's 2 weeks. At noon, we'll take bids and we'll open them up, and then we'll bring that to you, the winning bid, for approval at the following meeting. When I submitted the bid, I got a response from Sigma that 380 contractors were contacted. Because you put in a commodity, so I put in piping and plumbing, and then any vendor, contractor that has that as a listed commodity just automatically gets notified. So we expect to get some bids back on that. We've already had a couple local companies inquire. We do know that's going to run around $80,000. We got a quote on it just to get a scale of what we're looking for. The high school swim locker room, we're just going to upgrade those to be code. They call them panic bars, but like the push bar that we have in our security doors. We're going to add those. That will be sinking fund eligible. We don't have a quote yet on that. It'll be $5,000 to $7,000. It won't need to be bid out. We are adding new fire panel monitoring systems to 3 of our buildings. The reason the high school is not listed is because the current panel they have is new enough to be upgraded, which doesn't count for sinking funds. So we can upgrade that panel. We got to replace the other 3 in the buildings. We're upgrading them all so they have cellular service, so that if there's an issue, the department, the emergency services are contacted via cell phone in case there's a power outage. That's just a modern feature, and that's just the way to go. So we're going to upgrade those. I don't have a quote on those. I'm not sure. We have the quote for the high school repair, which is going to be a few $1,000s, or upgrade. And then the heating coil replacements on there as well. This was more urgent in the winter. Those don't need to be replaced again until next winter. We got a quote on one. It was $6,000. Troon's legal advice was that the Treasury Department is really picky and nuanced on what they approve for sinking fund. So parts in the system can be replaced, but like a fan can't, a heating coil can. So we got a quote for one of $6,000. We have 3 or 4 that need to be replaced. Definitely 3, maybe a 4th. Gary's working on getting some quotes and some parts that will get those changed over at some point before next winter. And then I added on, or Krista added on, the 2 school buses that we approved. We don't pay for them until next year when we get them, but those are already going to be attributed to next year's sinking fund balance. So we've already started adding to that. So that brings us up to just a little over $1 million. We have $97,000 in the balance this year. It's a little bit different than a grant because you can kind of carry over. It's not really a carryover. You just have the money. You don't have to spend it all in 1 year. So we have a few items on here that can fluctuate in price. It's a little more fluid than a standard grant. So we're in pretty good shape. Our goal is to spend $1 million, a little plus every year, and we're targeting that. So we're pretty happy with where we are. We are in some communication with a couple vendors that we may involve in some energy bonding, which I'll explain more. But essentially, if they can help us plan long term, and we've been in this district's been in a position for years where we just repair things when they break because we haven't had the capital to go out and address some of the maintenance other than routine maintenance. So we found some companies that can help us, but what they can do in the long range planning is, for example, the middle school chiller. That's why we haven't done that work yet. It's still a TBD because we might involve this company or a company to help us. If they go with a high efficiency model, they can calculate the savings. And if we do that with multiple areas, we can access more savings to get capital up front and actually bond that money. It's not a public vote. It doesn't cost taxpayers anything. It's just leveraging our savings a little bit. So there's some long-range planning there. So we're looking forward to involving them to help guide the work a little bit. And if we do contract with a company, they can also help with things like the RFP for the water main. They can just help us do that instead of taking our time to do it. So we have had an official meeting with one company to kind of hear their proposal, no cost to it yet, and we're waiting on another company, and I just talked to a third one yesterday to see what they have to offer. And I'll bring that conversation to the board to see if it's worth it, but I think it would be good for the district for long-term planning. I think that covers it. Are there any questions?
I have one question, Mr.
Yep.
Farrow. The water main issue at the middle school, what kind of coordination needs to happen with the city about that?
The city's been great. They're the ones that told us about it. So they'll work with us. It will cut into the road a little bit, so we have to work with them on like traffic. The RFP specifically states the work will start after school, so we don't have to coordinate, buses and parent pickup. So we'll do it once school is out. We'll have to block off the traffic there. My understanding is where the buses park now, we're just outside the building. We're just going to run a strip, and they'll patch that pavement parking lot. And then the road requires, I think it's called a cold patch. It's a little different because of the traffic volume. So that's included in the RFP just to do that as well.
I was just asking in particular, as someone who lives right there, that those roads have been torn up for over a year now in different versions. And so I wanted to just make sure that we were being strategic and working with the city about
Oh, yeah.
minimizing kind of the tear up of those roads.
Yep, they'll be directly involved.
Okay. Can I ask one more question? The chiller at the middle school, are we talking like an AC chiller or a food service chiller?
No, air conditioning outside.
Air conditioning, okay, that's what I thought.
We have 2 over there. They each have 4 generators. 3 of the generators just aren't working anymore. It's beyond the point of servicing. We need to replace. But part of the idea of the long-range planning is they've done a life expectancy on all of our facilities. And so they might say, we got to replace that one chiller, and in 2 years, you should probably replace the other one. So it's a big unit. It's expensive.
I think our students and staff will be happy to have that fixed. at the
Yeah,
middle school.
we've been
Yeah.
we ran last summer basically on one, and then 1/4 of another one.
Yeah.
So that's what we're using right now.
Yeah.
And it's working, but if something happens to the other one, we
Yeah.
don't have backup.
Yeah,
So,
okay, great, thank you.
Mr. McMahon, I just have 2 quick questions.
Yes.
Have we asked Troon, I assume it would be Troon, is there any portion of this water main break that is not our responsibility? I'm kind of confused about why once we get to the road, and maybe because I'm just thinking about your home, right? Like, the piping from your house to the road is yours, but then the road is the city's. At least that's the way I've always understood it. And so I'm just confused why.
I
this
haven't
is-
personally asked that question. The road work is just connecting to the main at the road. So they have to open up the road to do that. I don't know if anything under the road is actually being replaced.
Okay.
It's just to get to the connector.
I think it's worth just a quick call to
Yeah,
Troon,
of
they'll
course.
know, because it just seems odd to me that a water main is our responsibility. It very well may be, but I think it's worth a
Yeah,
question.
it's our supply line.
Yeah. And then on the Chromebooks, I see there's like a $50,000 difference between the 25-26 purchase and the 26-27 purchase,
Yep.
which seems like a big jump in 1 year.
Yeah, so it's normally a little bit more than 80,000, but we did an additional purchase this year because there was, well, if you're watching the news, it was like a chip crisis, and the prices were going up significantly, so there was a whole lot of purchasing Chromebooks going on, not just by us. So we did a little additional purchase there because we got them at a discount.
Okay.
And those are for next year, we just purchased them this year.
No, I
Yeah.
understood,
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand why the price was so different.
Any other questions for Superintendent McMahon? Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to our second public comment period. Are there any additional public comments at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Next up on the agenda is Ms. Bookout with Assistant Superintendent comments.
Thank you. So I wanted to share information with the board about a new county-wide initiative that's being led by the Washtenaw Intermediate School District. So the WISD is coordinating with districts across the county on developing a portrait of a learner. So this is meant to be a shared understanding of the competencies and the skills that we want our students all across Washtenaw County to demonstrate. The work that they're doing is intended to align with the work that we're doing in the district, not to supplant it or to create something new, and also to give the district's input on what that ultimate portrait might look like. So as part of the initiative, which they are just now kicking off, they are inviting teams from the WISD to do what they're calling learning walks across the county and all of our county schools, really to just highlight the things that are happening, to learn more about the realities in each of the districts, and to identify opportunities for districts and the county to work together to collaborate and support increased improvement. So yesterday, we actually welcomed a team from the Washtenaw ISD into our buildings, along with retired Saline Superintendent Steve Latch. They all came in yesterday and toured the high school as well as Simons Elementary. So they got to visit several of our classrooms and see learning in action. We had a very short turnaround, about 24 hours, to put this visit into place. So this was very spontaneous. We didn't have time to plan anything fancy. This was just really the reality of what's happening in our buildings. And they shared incredibly positive feedback about what they saw in classrooms and really highlighted the high levels of student engagement, the high levels of student belonging, and the focus on student belonging and voice in all of the work that we're doing, as well as our inclusive culture. They were very impressed by what they saw. So it was great to see all of our staff be able to provide this great opportunity to see across the district the work that our students and our staff are doing. And I want to thank the high school and Simons for welcoming a team of outsiders into their classrooms. Literally, on Simons, they got to know the morning of that we just said they're coming in, and a team of people walked in, and some of the teachers said, wow, that's a lot of people that are here watching us right now. But they were all very gracious, so it was great to have that opportunity. I also wanted to share a brief update on our spring testing schedule. At the last meeting, I talked about our new WIN work readiness assessment that was supposed to happen last week. Unfortunately, due to our unexpected closure, as well as some resulting internet issues that were still lingering the following day, our students were only able to complete one out of those 3 assessments, so that had to be postponed, so that we're going to do the next 2. Next Tuesday, our students in 11th grade are already doing the M-STEP on Tuesday and Thursday, and we thought doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of testing, that's a lot to ask our students. So the good news is that after next Tuesday, our juniors will be done testing, and so they will be very excited to be done with all of those tests that they need to do. And then finally, I wanted to highlight some of the transition work that we're getting ready to do as we're getting closer to the end of the school year. All of our schools are planning some really intentional work to help prepare students that are making those jumps between programs. So tomorrow, our Simons building will be welcoming the Paddock first graders. So our Paddock first graders will come over to do a fun assembly with our current second graders, and then they're going to be paired up with the 4th grade buddy who's going to take them on a tour around the building to give them that first introduction of their new school. And then next Wednesday, the Paddock first grade families will have an opportunity to come and tour the building in the evenings from 4:30 to 6. So we're excited to see some of those transition events take place, and I'll be sharing some more updates about transitions that'll happen in other buildings in upcoming weeks.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Bookout? All right, next up is superintendent comments. Mr. McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. I do have a few tonight. First, I want to start by thanking all of our administrative assistants for their work. Today's Administrative Professionals Day, and I was able to touch base with most of them in person today, but I'll catch the rest this week. We appreciate all the work they do, and they really keep our buildings held together, so today's their special day. I want to share, and I'm going to share this with the community tomorrow in a school messenger, but on Friday, the district is undergoing a switch to our phone service providers. Our contract with AT&T has expired, and because their costs were going to be going up exorbitantly, we've switched, and we're switching to a cloud-based model. Unfortunately, the districts, or the vendors, won't do the work outside of their working hours, which are our school hours. And we couldn't get them coordinated early enough to do it on a half day a few weeks back when we initially planned it. So this Friday, the plan is at 11:30, they're going to start the switch over. Our tech team has been diligent, and they've been all over the district. They've placed the new phones next to the old phones, and it's really just going to be unplugging and plugging once the numbers are ported over. Numbers won't change, nothing will change, service won't change, but there could be some disruption. We are prioritizing our main offices first to make sure that they get covered first. One thing we don't know is the port over time. We don't know if it happens like instantly, everybody, or if it's a cycle. So the offices are prioritized first. They'll be switched over. I'm sending a school messenger out tomorrow, and it's going to include email contacts for each of the buildings, that if you need to contact one of the buildings, that here's a reminder that this is the email to connect, and they'll be watching that closely during that time. Hopefully it goes quickly. I want to remind the board that the WISD will be holding their annual budget meeting tomorrow, April 23rd at 6 p.m. There is a Zoom link I can get for you if you're interested in doing it Zoom, but it's also in person. They'll be reviewing the budget and then their budget proposed for next year. Then the board will do a first reading at the first meeting in May, and then you'll vote on it at the second meeting in May. So that's coming forward. So if you want to get a sneak peek at it, tomorrow night. I also want to remind the community and the board that the Parent and Guardian Perception Survey is now active. I sent the school messenger, I think, on Monday. It's going to be open until May 8th, and I do plan to send a reminder to parents on May 4th. We'll send a couple to our teachers as well, because there's a separate survey for them. But we're looking forward to collecting as many responses as we can to help inform our continuous improvement work. It's a different survey than we've used in the past. We found a company, it's a vendor that works with Kent Intermediate School District. I met with them last year at a conference. It's a good survey. It's growing in the number of uses across the state, and it's free. We were paying a little bit of money for our last survey system, and it did a good job, but we think this will do just as good of a job, and it will save us thousands of dollars. I shared earlier that we have an RFP out for the water main at the middle school, so I have that officially, that's out. Proposals are due May 8th at noon. I would like to share with the board and the community that the district held its first Student Behavior Support Committee meeting this week. The first meeting was with just administrators, kind of a planning context. We are going to be meeting with a wider committee, including 2 staff members from each school, on April 30th. The principals are out now working with their teachers to get some feedback. This committee started really in conversation with the MEA during negotiations around concerns about increased discipline and staff and student safety. And that's something we take really seriously, so we're putting all of our efforts forward. This increased issues with discipline and student behavior is something that's happening statewide, nationwide, and we want to pull together locally to come up with creative solutions, maybe leverage some funding, maybe change positions or how we handle things, but we need to take a closer look because we can do better, and we want to do better. We want to work with the union on that. So we're going to get started April 30th officially with the full committee, but we're looking forward to making some headway in that work. And the final update I want to share is just a budget update from the state. I'll send you more this week. I have a document, but I can summarize it a little bit. So the House and Senate subcommittees have proposed their budgets. No budgets are finalized until the consensus revenue conference on May 15th, and we are all optimistic that the state will get a final budget together by July 1. We know it dragged out last year well past the constitutional deadline, but we are crossing our fingers. It seemed the rhetoric I'm hearing is that this election cycle has got everybody kind of moving forward positively, and we can get a budget quicker than last year for sure. Both the House and Senate followed the executive recommendation by proposing a 2.5% foundation allowance increase. So they're equal there right now, so that's a good sign. Major considerations are weighted funding. This is kind of a new proposal this year, weighted student funding. It's actually something I advocate for in my dissertation work. I'm directly advocating for it. But they're approaching it a little bit differently. So the House says no weighting for categoricals, but they're increasing at-risk and ELL sub-categoricals by 5%. That's their recommendation. And the Senate is trying to increase weighting by 25% for both of those categoricals. So we'll see where it ends up. 31AA is another point of contention. That's the one that a lot of districts talked about in the fall and decided not to apply for because of the restrictive language tied to it. So the House here has refined the definition, so they're making it a little bit clearer what they mean, but they still are talking about waiving the privilege piece. The Senate has eliminated the waiver, so we will see where that ends up. Another point that they're wrestling back and forth on is the Section 164K. That is a piece of additional funding that they tied requirements to, and one of the requirements, and Jen works closely with this, is we're required to post survey questions that we give to students on our website and responses. There are some other requirements as well, but this is now a jockeying position. The House is suggesting adding more posting requirements, quite a few, and penalties of up to 20% of your foundation allowance if you violate some of those. The Senate has eliminated the section altogether. So they're on opposite sides of this one. We'll see where it ends up. And then obviously the biggest thing is the literacy efforts that they're going back and forth on. It's a big topic right now. The new state superintendent, it's one of his big initiatives. The House has increased their proposal by $85.6 million and $75 million for letters training. All signs are pointing that they're going to require all teachers to do letters training. That's not something we necessarily espouse to. It's a good training. We don't know that if every single one of our teachers needs it to do their job effectively, but it's one of those political decisions that we'll comply with, and it looks like they're going to provide at least some funding for it. It's expensive and it's extensive. It's like taking a graduate class, and it would require us to give teachers days off to do the work and to meet. It's a heavy lift, so we'll see where it ends up. The Senate, on the other side, they are proposing $10.5 million for each ISD for literacy coaches, and then another $50 million in competitive grants. We also don't endorse competitive grants. There are inherently some unfair advantages hidden in competitive grants. For example, some districts have a person or a team that writes grants, and that's their exclusive job. So they have a leg up on that, and they tend to get the competitive grants, whereas districts our size have someone who does a lot of grant work on top of a lot of other things. But that's where the Senate is. So, it goes back and forth. There's good and bad things on each. We'll see what the executive committee comes with, hopefully by July 1, and we can start planning a little bit earlier. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, next up are board comments. Any board comments tonight?
President Farrell?
Yes.
I just first want to congratulate the Milan High School robotics team on competing in the state competition this past weekend in Saginaw. Based on the pictures I saw on Facebook, it seemed like they had a really good time. So glad to see all of that going on. Congratulations to them. On Monday, I was able to attend the high school track meet here against Carlton Airport. I had actually played baseball all through high school and college, so this was the first track meet I'd ever been to. It was super chaotic, but very exciting. And I think the boys team lost a squeaker, but the girls team dominated. So congratulations to all those students on what they did there. Next Wednesday, the Milan High School Chamber Choirs are competing, or I don't even know if it's necessarily competing, but it's they're going to be doing the State Choral Festival at Mason High School next Wednesday morning. They always do such a great job. I would highly encourage going to support them if you can get out there. And then lastly, not to steal any thunder from any of the other board members, but the middle school production of Newsies Junior is this weekend. Should be a great show. I highly encourage everyone to go see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdette. Any other board comments?
Go next.
Yep.
Mr. Farrell.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just have two brief things this evening. First, thank you, Mr. Burdette, for the Newsies shout out. Yes, we do open this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but what I would most like to highlight and express gratitude for is the amount of community support that has wrapped around this production. There are just so many parents and community members and volunteers who have showed up for our kids and have made set magic and food magic and costume magic and you name it. So I just want to express our gratitude for the support of that program, and please come see them. And then the second thing this evening is I wanted to plug the Washtenaw ISD Coffee and Conversations that our Special Education Department and Transitions team up at the ISD host regularly. The next one is coming up on May the 12th, and it's at 8:30 in the morning, so it is early, hence the coffee, until 10:30. It's in the Vogel rooms, which are the big ones when you first go in the big TLC Teaching and Learning Center building. And they are expecting a couple of people to speak, but highlighting the owner of the New to You Again thrift stores. There's one in Saline and there's one now on Carpenter Road in Ypsilanti. And they do a lot of work providing work placements for students throughout the community. So the business owner is going to be there speaking, as well as one of the recent graduates of the Saline Young Adult Program, I think, who is working there now. So should be lots of good information. They always do a great job highlighting resources throughout the community for our students. So Coffee and Conversations, May the 12th, 8:30, WISD. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. No comments? Ms. Heika?
I just have a couple. I wanted to congratulate our AP research students today. They did their presentations. I sat through one of them. I'm a little biased on that one, but it was pretty amazing. But so everyone knows, the kids come up with a research. I did not know this until my kid took it, the class. They come up with a research project. So they identify a problem. They come up with a research project. They design the research. They then around what their hypothesis is going to be. So they do research into what research is available in this area, and they identify gaps in the research, and then they design a research project to try to help fill the gap. And then they conduct research. So, they do surveys, they, get other kids to participate. And then they analyze all this data, which was just incredible to me that the kids knew how to do. I mean, this is true statistical analysis of this data. And then they identify problems with, limitations of their own data. But then they write this huge research paper, and then they do this incredible presentation where they present their research. I know it's not quite as extensive as you, but it's like a PhD. They sit and they defend, and they have to answer questions and defend what they did and why they did it and why they didn't do it a different way. So it's very incredible. I had no idea. I mean, the things our kids are capable of doing when given the opportunity is always amazing to me. So they did an amazing job today. There were 3 of them, and I was just very proud of all of them. I also want to congratulate the softball team. They beat New Boston Huron today, 13-3. It was kind of a crazy day. And I also want to wish all of our seniors good luck, because some of them are making their final decisions. We're into final decision time for college. And so I just wish you all luck on making that first big grown-up decision of your life, and I look forward to seeing the light boards that kind of lay out where everyone's going. It's always a fun time of year, so thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Gutierrez?
Well, first of all, kudos to those students that are doing that research work. That's, again, skills, right? It doesn't matter what field you end up in. Those are skills that you will definitely need in your long term. I'd just like to apologize to the board and the community for missing our last meeting. I was quite sick. I was in and out of this weird fever delirium for days, so I really apologize. And I was very sorry to miss our last meeting because of the resolution that was passed for the paraprofessional appreciation. You all know that's near and dear to my heart, both personally as well as from the role I sit on in the board. And I thought it was a good opportunity to just continue to reinforce and put a bug in the ear of Mrs. Bookout, Mr. McMahon, Dr. Phelps, that I think one of the best things we can do for our paras to make sure we show how much we appreciate and respect them is to continue to develop para-centric professional development to continue to build their skill set. They're a remarkable set of professionals, and as we continue to invest in them, I think that continues to show how much we appreciate them. I also wanted to remind folks about Newsies, and I won't belabor that point, but I did want to send a thanks to the directors, Mrs. Murray and Mrs. Murray, as well as Mrs. Ingstadt, specifically for allowing our high school theater students to participate in the mentorship. It has been a really special experience, not only for my kiddo, but for his friend group of other theater students to be able to go back to that theater and share their knowledge. And I know that sometimes is probably a little bit distracting because I've seen pictures of him trying on all the costumes and all of that. So I understand that there's some silliness there too, but I think it really does build confidence and skills and relationships between those students. And so I appreciate your willingness to allow that. I wanted to let everyone know that I'll be attending the WISD budget meeting tomorrow night. As you know, I'm our WISD representative and somehow got nominated for some role on that, I think VP. And so if you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to carry those to the meeting, but also we'll be sure to report back to this board about what transpired there before we make our dialogue and vote about that. I wanted to share with the board that Mrs. Pryor and Mr. Sislo and I were very busy over the last several weeks with preparing for scholarship work for our students. We comprise the scholarship committee, and we not only conducted, 10 or 15 interviews for our Edna Mead Scholarship project, which was really incredible to hear the variety of things that our students are doing, to how they've applied their experiences and their skills here at Milan High School across a wide range of different futures. It was really quite remarkable and humbling to hear about the great work our students are doing. Those will be announced at Honor Night, and then also next weekend I'll be representing the board to distribute 5 Board of Education scholarships at the upcoming, it's not the GMACF, it's the Monroe County Community Foundation Scholarship Breakfast, which will take place next Saturday morning. So happy to represent the board on that. Thank you again to Mr. Federer and our gentlemen, Jonathan and Ethan from FFA. Again, I'm going to go home and just really reflect on how great of a job this district does on building hard skills for our students. And then the last shout out I just wanted to give is from my dad. My dad's actually here visiting right now, and he spends a lot of time in the beautiful weather sitting on our front porch. And if you know where we live right on the corner of Michigan and Marvin, right across from Paddock Elementary School. And so I was sitting with him yesterday afternoon, and he was remarking on the incredible work that our buses are doing in just like clockwork, and getting those kids on and off the bus at Paddock Elementary, which is right across the street. And he was just kind of in awe of it. And so I was very proud to tell him about how great our bus garage has done on maintaining those buses, and the work that the board has done in making sure that we have high quality buses and safe buses for our students. But just for someone who's naive to this community, not from this community, I wanted to let those drivers in the bus garage know that
people notice that these are things that are really shining examples of how well this district functions, and it was really, made me very proud to see him reflect on that. All the bus drivers were waving at the kids and the crossing guards, and it was just, a day in the life, and really was a good demonstration of how special this community is. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Pryor, any comments? Mr. Sislo?
Just one thing, we did hold a big red board chat last Wednesday, so I want to thank the community members and the staff that came out to the big red board chat last Wednesday. It was positive. We talked about the what you need to do to become a board member to be elected, and we had time for open questions as well. And I thank you to Gabe, Mr. Burdette, and Ms. Pryor for being there as well as Ms. Pryor for putting the information on the outline together for us to speak from. So, and then we will be putting together the dates for the next big red board chats soon. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I do have a few comments tonight. First, for the board's awareness, we will conduct Superintendent McMahon's mid-year evaluation on May 19th. In terms of our continued review of board policies, I would ask that you please take some time to read and review policies 3204 through 3303 prior to the next Board of Education meeting, which is on April 22nd. I will connect with Mr. McMahon on the status of scheduling meetings with MEA and try to get some feedback on the school year calendar for the fall. In terms of the MASB assessment, this was shared with each of you on April 17th. Please take some time to read and review. Contact me if you have any questions on the analysis from MASB. I also want to thank Andrew Sislo, Cassie Pryor, and Mr. Burdette for being at the Big Red Board Chat for two-way communication with the community and to discuss board service. I think it's important that we make ourselves available when we can to the community and to explain what our role is in terms of serving on the Board of Education. And then finally, I just want to thank Mr. McMahon and his team for the detailed sinking fund update. The regular updates are important to us and they are important to the community. Any other comments from the board tonight?
Just
Yes.
wanted to check on the date that you gave for the next board meeting. I thought I heard April 22nd, which is
For the policy.
Today.
For the policy review.
yeah,
Sorry,
for the policy review.
I don't know the date offhand for the next board meeting, but prior to the next board
Yes,
meeting.
I think it might be the 8th of May.
Yeah. So if you could review those policies, yes, correct, sorry. Policies 3204 through 3303 prior to the May 8th board meeting.
May 6th.
May 6th.
Thank
And
you.
then the second meeting is the Tuesday, because we're avoiding some conflicts.
Okay. Anything else that needs to be addressed or discussed today? Okay, with no further business to conduct, the meeting is adjourned at 8:13 p.m.